Welcome back to the Amateur Sports YouTube channel for today's Raptors Happy Hour live stream. We are here and we are back for the February 11th Happy Hour here. Final day of the regular season ahead before we go into the NBA All-Star break. So the Raptors will get a good chunk of time off after this. At least most Raptors will. We know a few of them will not, in particular two will not, as they will be dealing with some All-Star festivities over the course of the weekend. But as for us, watching the Raptors, yeah, this is it for a little bit. So we will dig into what's been going on lately. We'll dig into all the latest news about the team, because that's what we do here at the Raptors Happy Hour. This is a show where I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to cover the latest news, discussion about the Raptors, answer questions from the chat, so on and so forth. And I'm looking forward to this one here. Unfortunately, I say we're finally back here because, unfortunately, I did miss out on the previous live stream. Actually, the previous two live streams, technically. The Monday Happy Hour stream was missed because I was held up at work. I was at the office till 6, and I came back. It was a little bit too late to get started, so ended up missing out on that one. And also missed out on the Sunday watch-along as the Raptors were successful rather comfortably against the Indiana Pacers team. I missed that one as a result of Super Bowl Sunday. I was setting up arrangements, hosting the Super Bowl Sunday party. And Monday just caught up with work. We're back today, and this is the one I'm excited for, with the Raptors later today taking on the Detroit Pistons. But we're here today. Here's what is on the menu for today's episode. First of all, we're going to discuss Brandon Ingram getting selected for the NBA All-Star Game as an injury replacement. I'm super happy for Brandon Ingram and his teammates in particular. His coach, we're very happy for him as well. We'll talk about if it's deserved. We'll talk about what he's done for the Raptors and what he's achieved in the last year since we acquired him from the New Orleans Pelicans. Then we'll react to Trayce Jackson-Davis' debut, because obviously I was a little bit late on that one there. But we'll react to Trayce Jackson-Davis' first game for the Raptors. And we will also be discussing what he can bring to the team going forward. We've talked a lot about like the trade and the value of the trade and what he can bring, what he can bring to. We haven't really dug into exactly like what Raptors fans should be expecting of him on the court. So that is what we're going to take our opportunity to do here today. We're also going to be discussing Darko Rajakovic's recent press conference, where he had some very, very interesting words about Scottie Barnes. Bigged him up. We'll talk about if that's true, what he said. If it's going a little bit too far, we shall see. And finally, my thoughts on the All-Star Game, the current format, and the weekend as a whole. We'll get to your thoughts as well, hopefully, on that one. So, if all that sounds good, hit that like button. Get us started on the stream today. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Even through the All-Star break, I'll be doing content. I might take off the Monday just because I won't have much to say after the All-Star. You know, we could talk about the All-Star Game with the Raptors. You know what? Maybe we will, because I missed last Monday as well. I could miss one. You know, the Raptors, they play today, obviously. Then they play on the following Thursday. So maybe the Wednesday will be the one we take. I don't know. Anyways, subscribe to the channel. Keep an eye out. We do watch-alongs, for most Raptors games. We do mostly Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, but with the All-Star break around, maybe I could get a little break as well. Anyways, what's going on to the people in the chat nice and early? Adam H. joining us. Gregory, look at that 2-year badge. Tremendous 2-year member now. Thank you so much to Gregory. We have Pretty Butterfly, Tom, RVK, and Jimbo Jenkins. Thank you all for coming through and hanging out with me. I haven't been on this channel since the Super Bowl. I'm a very big football fan. How is your Super Bowl Sunday? Mine? Well, I had a soccer game earlier on in the day, which was good. My team won. Rushed home. A lot of my teammates came over for the game. That was the plan. Rushed home. Got a lot of cooking done since I was hosting. Some people dropped their food off in the morning, so I had to, do the final preparations for pretty much everything. So it was a bit busy, but the game itself, it was a bad game. It was a bad game. It wasn't that great of a game. I still had fun watching with my friends. I work in sports betting. I work for a sports betting media company. That is my day job. I am a winning sports bettor, not at scale. So I had a good Super Bowl in that respect. So that obviously made it a little bit more entertaining there. But it was a bit of a dud of a game, as we all know, for sure. So that was unfortunate. But hey, still had fun watching football with the friends. Hopefully, again, you guys enjoy as well. Other things I did over the weekend. On Saturday, I don't know. Last week we talked about it, I think. But did we talk about it? I don't know when this came out. But I think we may have talked about the new Slam magazine cover that has Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram. That was awesome. Love when we get some Raptors representation on Slam magazines. So I was pumped to see this. I'm hoping you are pumped as well. Just super cool to see that. I was pumped enough that I spent Saturday tracking down a copy in person. Ended up finding one at Indigo. So here we go. The latest to my collection. I now have 2 of these Slam magazines in frames. I also have the one, as you can see, reflects from my screen. I also have the one that Scottie Barnes had after his rookie season. I think it was after his rookie season. I have that hanging on the wall. I do want to add them over here. That's my goal for next week when I have a bit of time off work. And I want to add. Right now, I'm point gesturing because it's up there on my wall. I do need to take that one down and move it over here. But again, super happy for them. And Brandon Ingram, again, getting that recognition. So very, very pleased about that. Anyways, speaking of recognition, pretty obvious what we're going to talk about here. When the All-Star teams were revealed, we were disappointed that Brandon Ingram was not on the roster. Disappointed, but at least from my perspective, it made sense. It's very difficult to make an All-Star team. The Raptors already had an All-Star with Scottie Barnes, and none of the players that were selected for the All-Star team felt like they were undeserving. It didn't feel like anybody was taking Brandon Ingram's spot that they didn't deserve. It felt like everyone there deserved it, but there was always an opportunity potentially for a player to sneak in as an injury reserve. But I still felt like even as an injury reserve, Michael Porter Jr. had a better shot than Brandon Ingram. But as it turns out, that wasn't the case. Brandon Ingram has been named an All-Star for the 2025-2026 season. Let's break down exactly why he was deserving of this position. And also, let's just go through the impact he's made on Toronto in the year that he has been with the organization. Kind of surprised. Like I said, I was expecting Michael Porter Jr. to be named the All-Star replacement, as we saw with Pascal Siakam making the team. Look, I think there was a case there for Brandon Ingram, but at the end of the day, Pascal Siakam represents Team World. They needed additional Team World players, hence why the Indiana Pacers, with the worst record in the East, had an NBA All-Star. It became a little bit more difficult for them to find enough players to fit the Team World format that we have for this year's event. But if an American player was to be unable to play, it still felt to me like that would go to Michael Porter Jr., especially with the precedent that it doesn't really matter what your record is to get into the All-Star game. But when it comes to injury replacements for the All-Star game, the selection process for All-Stars is as so. For the starters, it is a mixture of fan vote and I believe it's player vote. For the All-Star reserves, so the bench, it is strictly... Oh, sorry. The starters are picked by media and... I believe it's media and fans. It's some combination of either fans and media or fans. I'm pretty fans and media. Anyways, All-Star reserves, so the players coming off the bench, are exclusively selected by NBA head coaches. Coaches cannot vote for players in their own team, if you care to know. Injury replacements are handpicked specifically by Adam Silver. And now this is the second time. We gotta give Adam Silver some credit here as Raptors fans, because this is the second time a Raptors player has made it to the NBA All-Star game as an injury replacement selected by Adam Silver. For Scottie Barnes' first All-Star appearance, he was selected as an injury replacement, like I said, by Adam Silver. And now we have Brandon Ingram joining the fray as well, and I'm so happy for him. You know, I said earlier that it wasn't like any of the players were undeserving of their position, and Brandon Ingram should have gotten in ahead of them. But it did feel like Brandon Ingram had played like an all-star. He was operating as an all-star caliber player this season, and he also deserved to get into the all-star game. So I'm so happy that he's been rewarded with that. He's been a very, very quality player throughout his NBA career. He's had, honestly, I think he's gone a little bit underrated in the past because he's playing with the Pelicans, not in a big market, a Pelicans team that never achieved what they maybe had the potential to do and struggled for a lot of the years that he was there. But the Raptors are 32-22. They're 5th in the East. Brandon Ingram has played like an all-star, and damn it, he deserves to be there, and I'm super happy for him. I'm super happy, but my goodness, I am not as happy as Darko Rajaković was with this news. Let's take a look at the video of the Raptors team reacting to the news. So obviously, they're pumped for him. I mean, you can really see how much Darko Rajaković cares for his players, likes his players, and supports his players. Like, you know, when it was revealed that Brandon wasn't an all-star, Darko Rajaković was mic'd up and was, like, you know, super apologetic and was, you know, felt bad for him, essentially. So happy to see that sort of reception, and very, very happy to see how much the players are just happy for their teammate like that. But I kind of wanted to take it, you know, in a bit of a different direction here as well, because, you know, we can go through the stats here. We can talk about how good Brandon Ingram has been. He has been excellent for the Raptors this season. He has really, like, taken to this role here where he's not necessarily the focal point as he's been previously. He's had to do more as a defensive player. He's had to maybe take a little bit less of the ball than he'd be used to doing, perhaps. He's still getting his reps, he's still getting his touches, but he's playing within a team environment, I think, a little bit more than he was doing with the Pelicans. And taking it in stride, like coming off of an injury, and it looks like he has not at all missed a beat from that. 22 points per game this season, 47% for the field, 36% from three on 5 threes a game, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, true shooting percentage of 56.8. Everything has been good here for Brandon Ingram. And again, second all-star appearance. It feels like he's been due an all-star appearance. So happy does get it with Toronto. But let's zoom out a little bit, because this was a trade the Raptors made a year ago. They brought in Brandon Ingram on an expiring contract who was injured. The Raptors were in, you know, a tough position where they were likely tanking for the rest of the season. There was an element of risk to it. Like, the Raptors didn't give away much as far as the trade is concerned, but there was an element of risk to the trade that the Raptors made. Yet still, they wanted to go with it. They wanted to bring in this player. They thought that they were getting such a good deal that they wanted to bring him in, and it has worked absolutely tremendously. And I kind of want to go back all the way to the time the Raptors traded for him and hear the thoughts of Brandon Ingram and what his thoughts were at the time. Here's a video that I pulled from Omar Osman, at Omar Osman 200, good aggregator of Raptors information on Twitter. This is from, we're doing this live stream here, February 11th, 2026. This is almost a year ago to the day. Here's what Brandon Ingram had to say.
What have you heard about how the Raptors are hoping to adjust your play as you, I guess, over the next few years here?
Well, the first thing that I heard is, you know, they want to make me an all-star again. I'm going to be a big part of, you know, what they do going forward. And I just want to, you know, I want to come here and learn. I want to come here and be a sponge, shift the culture, make it a winning culture, and come in and just listen. Do whatever coach needs me to do, and go out and try to be an example every single day.
So players will often talk like this when they get traded for. They'll say, like, you know, they'll do what they need to do for the team. They'll do what the coach asked of them. It's not always the case of the player actually doing that for a team. We don't always see the player actually doing that. But it's been very, very obvious since Brandon Ingram has arrived that, yes, he has, in fact, done just that. And he kind of echoes that sort of mindset with what he said in a recent interview after being named an NBA All-Star. I also pulled this video from Omer Osman just to give him credit here. But let's listen in on this one.
I remember when Bobby was introducing you when you first came to the trade a year ago. One of his goals was they're going to make you an All-Star again.
Yeah.
So now you're here. How do you feel about sort of that whole decision, coming to Toronto and now being in this league?
I love the decision to come to Toronto.
Still needs to work on his pronunciation of Toronto, but that's okay.
Expanded my game more, especially on the defensive end. Darko been holding me accountable to be better. On-ball defense, out-ball defense, and using my length.
These captions are all over the place. They're very off.
And on the offensive end, I've just been able to be efficient. I've been able to show what I can do, and I think I'm evolving and trying to do even more. And I think I'll be able to do that in the second half of the season. But getting All-Star today is an amazing accomplishment. To God be the glory.
So again, not that he's showing it. He's obviously quite happy that he's been named as an NBA All-Star, but I don't think we give enough credit to Brandon Ingram for truly buying into what the Raptors are doing here. The offensive style, sometimes I don't love this style, but it's very, very socialist. Everyone gets their fair share on the offense when it comes to the ball. Maybe a little bit too much in late game situations where okay, it's time to just put the ball in Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes' hands. But still, he has taken to this offensive style. He has been that mid-range bucket getter, the guy who can create his own shot and score in tough situations. He's been that sort of player that we've been craving on this team for a long while. And concerns about his defense have seemingly gone. He has seriously bought into the defensive mindset. And all the while he's been with the Raptors, I feel like he has only said the right things in interviews and in press conferences about how this is a team, and he's willing to do his part for the team, and he's willing to do what needs to be done for the Raptors to find the most success on the court and help instill a winning culture within the team. So really here, we've got two All-Stars, and it just absolutely feels like this is a team on the rise. People were upset at the trade deadline this year that the Raptors didn't go out and make a winning move, didn't go out and make an aggressive move. This is a really quick turnaround. This was a Raptors team that a year ago brought in Brandon Ingram, sat on the rest of the season, and tanked the rest away. This is now 1 year later a Raptors team that is making a serious run at potentially getting a top 4 seed and a home seed for the first round of the NBA playoffs. Now, the goal should be to stay in the top 6. The East round got a little bit stronger, but it's easy to lose sight of what we're still looking to achieve with this team. We have a young core, a great group of players that are on the rise, and a big reason why it's a great group of players that's on the rise is because Brandon Ingram is here. Looking back 1 year later, wow, what a trade for the Raptors. They gave away what seemed to be a not-so-great first-round pick, which has turned into a good one outside of our control at this point. Anyways, what was supposed to be a not-so-great first-round pick and dumped salary and got Brandon Ingram. What a trade that was by this Raptors front office. You get a lot of people complaining about this current front office and Bob Webster. What a piece of business that is. The Raptors acquired an all-star caliber player for a not-so-great first-round pick and salary dump players. That is excellent move there. Excellent work by the Raptors. Also, getting this player, I know the perception by his own agency was that he was overpaid there, but they have an all-star player in here under a max contract. We've done some terrific work here. We've done some terrific work here with Brandon Ingram, and I think we should be giving the Raptors a bit more credit than maybe they have been receiving for bringing him into the team, because I saw a lot of negativity around this trade, and I don't see a lot of people kind of eating their words and going back and saying, wow, man, that's some great stuff that the Raptors pulled off there with him. Under My Eye says he really got that all-star in first year playing for us. It's massive. Absolutely. And it felt like coming into the year he had a chance to be an all-star. I really didn't think he'd get it over Scottie Barnes, which he didn't, but I wasn't expecting the Raptors to be this good and having the capabilities of having 2 all-stars on the roster. But we've got that. Man, first time since 2020. First time since 2020 when Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam got into the all-star team. I believe this is the 10th different Raptors player to make an all-star. I think a lot of people forget as well that Raptors. It's not an organization that just consistently gets all-stars, right? It kind of feels like that lately. We've had Kyle Lowry for 6 years. We had DeMar DeRozan for a number of years. Siakam did it twice. Fred did it once. We now have Brandon Ingram. But for a long while, this was just not a team that got all-stars. It's hard to get an all-star caliber player on the Raptors. We got 2 this year. That's something special. And we're truly building towards, I think, some really better days going forward. We don't need to rush things, as I've said. I've said a lot here. Alamdar says, and Ingram has been healthy over 50 games, which is so important. That's true. That's also a good point. There were always some injury concerns associated with Brandon Ingram, but he's been healthy here. We got to give him credit. We got to give Raptors trainers credit, I think. They brought him in when he was injured. They got him healthy. They got him playing really good ball. A lot of people putting in work to make sure he's on the floor, and thank goodness he's been on the floor because, again, he's been excellent this season. Very impressed, very happy. Oh, you saw my water splashed up there. Sometimes all-stars aren't just about stats. This guy brought us up from 11 to a top 4 seed, along with Scottie improving. Yes, big reason why the Raps are where they are right now. I don't think they could be there without him. Having that sort of that difference maker in a lot of tough scenarios this season. They just haven't had this type of player for a long time. So happy to have him with the team, absolutely. Anyways, guys, if you're enjoying the show so far, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Been feeling a little sick lately, so I'm happy. I'm powering through. I feel like I've been on the verge of a cold for like the last week and a half. And I thought today it was going to hit. I was at the gym this morning, and I was like, oof, this might be really starting to hit. But I'm still kind of dodging it, so going to hopefully continue to dodge it. But as I'm talking, I feel my voice slipping a little bit, so hopefully I'm all good. All good tomorrow. I'll still be live tonight. We got a doubleheader tonight. I'm live for the Raptors against the Pistons. That should be a very interesting game. Cole joining the chat asking, how do we feel about Trayce Jackson-Davis so far? Well, that's a great segue into the next segment here on the Raptors Happy Hour, because that is a guy I wanted to talk about. A lot was made of the Raptors in the decision to acquire Trayce Jackson-Davis at the NBA trade deadline. Trayce Jackson-Davis is a solid player, but not the traditional big that many fans were looking for, or the real star power that fans were looking for to compete in this Eastern Conference. I think people have focused too much on what this player isn't rather than what this player is, because this is a solid player for the team. As much as we've talked about the value of the trade and bringing him in, I don't think we focus enough on what he can actually do for the team for the rest of the season and potentially beyond. So let's do that here. Obviously, we only had one game, but hey, if you want to make if you want to reflect yourself really well for the Raptors fan base, you start by putting in a double-double in your first game for the team. That's exactly what Trayce Jackson-Davis did. Very happy about this one. He got a good matchup. We're playing against the Indiana Pacers, and we were able to kind of ease him in, I guess, to proceedings. But Trayce Jackson-Davis was excellent with 10 points and 10 rebounds in this one in just 15 minutes of action, and really felt like he was instantly acclimated to the way the Raptors were playing basketball. Was making the right decisions on defense, making the right reads, was moving into good spaces there, rotating well, playing good help defense, being a bit of a stopper at the rim for us, and on the floor. Just playing within the style of the offense. He is a solid passer for his size, good pick and roll guy, Not the most. Look, he's not statistically he's a very poor finisher at the rim, but he's fun. Like he can do it. He can score. He can rebound, and it was evidence again in that game against the Indiana Pacers. Coming off the bench, it says 16 minutes here. 2 of 4 from the field, 6 of 10 from the line, 10 rebounds. 8 of those rebounds coming on the offensive glass, doing the right work for the team, and just playing within himself. Like I said, playing within, just doing what he needed to do for the team. And I think like Raptors fans who are critical of the trade deadline, I think a lot of the criticism of the trade deadline is going to be fixated on the player. Even though it's not his fault, the Raptors didn't do more. If you want him to do more, I was personally content with the way the trade deadline went for the Raptors, and I'm content with this pickup here. Don't use your negative thoughts, if you have negative thoughts of the trade deadline, and reflect that on this guy, because this is, again, a quality player who brings great energy to the floor and is just a good presence. I think Raptors fans are really going to subscribe to. Raptors apparently have been looking at him for quite a while, leading up to his acquisition from the Golden State Warriors, where, in Golden State, in fairness, his role dropped from a year-to-year basis. The 58th overall pick, he had a pretty sizable role in his first year. He started 16 games, played 68, averaged 8 points, 70% from the field. But then minutes dropped a tiny bit second season. Production dropped a little bit. And then this season, the minutes of production dropped a little bit more. Fell out of favor a little bit with Steve Kerr, but the Raptors, who have been keeping tabs in for a while, felt like this was a player that could really bring them solidified front court presence to the team. Now, we've spoken about it already. Spoke about the good things that he does and the good traits that he has. What's also important about this one here is that he's versatile. Like, you could have easily gone for another 7-footer here, but the versatility allows you to still play him in lineups where you're not eating into Colin Murray-Boyle's minutes, you're not eating into Sandro Mamukelashvili minutes, and you're paying him a rate here which won't hamper your ability to pay Sandro in the offseason to bring Mamu back to the team for next season. Like, this checks so many boxes for the Raptors. They needed front court help. They got it. They brought in a little bit more depth towards their front court by bringing this player. The Raptors wanted to stay under the tax. They were able to stay under the tax by making this move as well, in conjunction, of course, with offloading Ochai Abaji's contract. They got him for a Lakers second-round pick, which that's not that great of a pick. The Lakers are in, I think they're 5th in the West right now. Like, a late second-round pick, that's all we had to give away to get him. Didn't give away a first. Like, that's what the Raptors were looking to do as well. You're not eating into Colin Murray-Boyle minutes because he's great and you want to keep playing him as much as possible. It doesn't stop you from paying Mamu in the offseason. It just ticks a lot of boxes for this team. And the debut, obviously, will instill a lot of confidence in the player and the fan base for what he can do going forward. So for the rest of the season, I think we're going to see minutes that mirror this a little bit. Played about 15 minutes there. We could see fluctuations there. I think we could see it go a little bit lower. But it's awesome in a game like the one coming up tonight while we're recording this live stream here, where Jakob Poeltl's injury status is still in question. Colin Murray-Boyle's, he hasn't been healthy all season. And when Murray-Boyle's is out and Poeltl's out, like, there's just some lineups that, like, sometimes the tallest person on the floor is 6'7". Now look, a 6'9" Trayce Jackson-Davis isn't like significantly upgrading your height, but it's another body to throw into the mix there when you are dealing with these injuries. And maybe like there's games where Mamu and Murray-Boyles and Barnes are taking a beating from the opposition center. Here's another player that can come in and offload some of that stress and offload some of that physicality and just take some of those reps in here. Sometimes you need somebody who's just going to like eat innings. If to use like baseball's week, that's a player who can eat some innings for the Raptors on defense. It's just an option they didn't have before, and again, it cost them relatively little. So as far as the swing here from the Raptors, like, they didn't take a big swing necessarily at the trade deadline, but this is a very minimal risk move. It was a second-round pick that they're not going to miss. It's a player that's on a cheap deal for next season. Like, we looked at it here. $2.2 million this season. There was a team option worth $2.4 next year. For $2.4 million, I think this is a player you may as well keep, and you may as well continue to get a look at here. And who knows what can go from there. But at least for the rest of this season, this was a needed acquisition, and I think it's a player that will contribute successfully, and one that we are going to want to bring back as well for next season. Gotta feel pretty optimistic about that debut. Settled in immediately for this team. It's not always easy to do. Like it's a little bit of a different style as well sometimes with what Darko Rajaković is doing on the floor. So he's acclimated himself extremely well in the early goings. Progressing through the chat a little bit more, Momo Beat says, which pieces do you think we need to put around Ingram Barnes to make the Raps genuine contenders? For the Raptors to genuinely contend, a 3-and-D wing, I think, is something that's they're gonna have to find a way to get. It could be a case of an upgrade at point guard, somebody who can manage the game a little bit. Like quickly, he's solid, but I don't think I don't think a point guard upgrade is necessarily coming. I think quickly needs to step up his game because that's a guy we've got to use. For the lack of a better word, we're kind of stuck with him because of that contract. He's got to be better. I think we need to use some assets to acquire a 3-and-D wing. I think RJ becomes a lot more valuable next season in trades because it's an expiring contract that could enable us to find that additional help. We really need some a defensive anchor and rim protection. So if Jakob Poeltl's healthy, I think he can do that. Just a question will Jakob Poeltl ever be healthy again? And a little bit more reliable scoring and shooting off the bench. The Raptors are still one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. So that's something that obviously does need to be addressed. But it's a lot of work to get there, but there are pieces here to get that started. Skay on Addy. Whatever it says, Trayce Jackson-Davis going to be a solid third stringer, not a double tier all the time. No, definitely not. But he's going to be solid. No, I didn't want to insinuate that he's like a double a night type of guy. But yeah, why not 6, 7, 8 points a game? Why not piecing through 5, 6 rebounds potentially, 4 or 5 rebounds? Why not? That's what he can do and take some strain off of our team. Duren and Stewart got ejected at the perfect time. Yes, because of the suspension. Man, speaking of Stewart, beef stew, man. Isaiah Stewart, God, that guy just cannot help himself with these fights. He's like a bull that sees red sometimes. It's so fucking funny when the switch flicks and you cannot stop him. Man, this guy, he should be a running back. He just absolutely motors through some of these coaches trying to hold up. He knows, as soon as you get involved with the sort of scrap and you come off the bench, get involved, that's an immediate suspension. And he knows that. And other coaches are trying to keep their bench on the bench so they don't get suspended. And he just breaks through the defensive line and takes off 90 yards to the house, man. You cannot stop this guy when he is dead set on getting into a fight, And then this is have the suspensions come out yet? Because let me see, because he's a repeat offender. I think he's suspended a couple times. I'm not sure if the suspensions have come out yet. I didn't see any reports that he wasn't playing today. Are he in Duren? Okay, they are. Okay, so they have been suspended. I actually don't know what the suspension was. 7 games. Okay. Yeah, I mean... Oh, here we go. I didn't see this today. I mean, could have been more, honestly. Could have been more. So 7 games. It could have been more for him. Jalen Duren gets 2, which I think I saw. I think that's fair. Duren getting 2 there. Mallory and Moussa Diabate have been suspended 4 games each. I don't think Diabate deserved 4 games. It felt like he was, for the most part, trying to de-escalate. They label it as he was trying to escalate. I don't really agree with that, but the NBA cracks down on this stuff. Obviously, you know what? The NBA is just so worried about anything close to the malice of the palace ever happening again. The preventative measures that are in place to ensure nothing like that ever comes close to happening is why we get punishments. It's why you can't leave the bench during an altercation. It's why you step into the crowd, that's a suspension. Immediately. You step in just to fucking high-five a guy, boom. You are suspended. They do not want anything close to that to ever happen again. So for the Raptors, look, Jalen Duren, I mean, that's a guy I did not want to play today. I did not want to play against him, especially without Jakob Poeltl. And the fact that he's out actually it buys us some more time, because Poeltl's like on the verge of coming back for the Raptors. He's a game time decision. It actually buys us a little bit more time to say, look, let's give you another week here. Let's continue to ramp you up. We don't necessarily need you in for this one because we don't have to worry about Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren in particular. So this is really good news for the Raptors. They're the home team today, and they are the very, very marginal favorite over the Pistons. Pistons would comfortably be favorite as a home team, but Raptors at home today. It's pretty much like a pick'em, but they're very, very marginal favorites here. So a testament that we've got a really good shot here. The Raptors have struggled against good teams in the East, good teams in general this season. We know that. It's been well documented, but a chance to kind of put things right a little bit and get a win here today. Who am I taking to fight? Isaiah Stewart or Tom Hardy's? Like I said, you get Isaiah Stewart going. I don't think anything can stop that man. An NFL team needs to take note here. Recently, Jonas had Stewart in a headlock, but Stewart avoided a confrontation with him. I wonder why. Yeah, I guess maybe because Jonas is 7 feet tall, but like Isaiah Stewart has gone after LeBron before. I need to see this video again. This is one of the funniest videos I think ever of Isaiah Stewart like trying to trample through multiple Pistons coaches to like go after LeBron. Not only is it like incredibly hilarious, like how he just bundles through all these people out of nowhere. Like look at this. Like he's like, all right, I'm cool. It's fine. I'm cool. And then just when you think he's fine, where does he do it? He breaks off. And they don't show it. They cut to Russell Westbrook turning, going, holy fuck. Like, watch how he's just like, yeah, my bad. Okay. And then get the fuck out of the way. Russ is like, holy shit. And then all hell breaks loose as he's trying to bundle through all these people. The camera is shaking like crazy. They're all trying to stop. You cannot stop him. How many fucking tackles? He broke like 5 tackles there. They got to get like 20 people in between him and the Lakers. Oh my God. This guy's so fucking funny. Amazing video. I wish we had like the one angle of him running through people to start, but it is funny. It cuts to Westbrook turning. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Very Kenneth Walker-esque. I agree of Isaiah Stewart there. Man, that just my bad. Like you could see him say my bad, cooling down, and then just fucking breaks. What would he do? What would he have done? It's like a dog with I don't know, a dog with like a bear or something. Like what the they're barking and going crazy and shit. What the fuck are they gonna do when they actually get to the bear or something? They're gonna shit themselves. Like what would he have actually done? I don't know. Isaiah Stewart's crazy, but like if nobody else got in between him there, what would he have done? Would he actually have like swung on somebody? We'll maybe never know. But when he sees red and gets his blinders up, I don't know what this guy is liable to do. Oh, so funny. Amazing comedy with this guy. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anyways, let's shift back towards the Raptors here. Because that's what we're here for on the Raptors Happy Hour. Something that I haven't covered yet because I just haven't been online to do is a little press conference here, because Darko Rajaković in his time with the Raptors has done a tremendous job of building these very good and personal relationships with his players. Honestly, with 2 years of not so great results with the Raptors, and maybe there would have been considerations of moving on from him, what has always been strong, and I think was one of the reasons why he maybe was kept on and has showcased it to be a great decision this season. One of the reasons why, or some of the reasons there's been success, and where some of the success has always lied for Rajaković, is building those relationships. And the players know that he's always willing to stick up for them, and the players know he's willing to big them up when it is necessary. And he really had some interesting words recently about Scottie Barnes. Let's see what he said and see how accurate they are. And we're going to CGTN Sports Scene on YouTube, who posted this video here. Let's just listen in to what Darko Rajaković had to say about All-Star Scottie Barnes. It is muted. Let's fix that. Here we go.
I'll tell you what, Scottie is Defensive Player of the Year. Scottie is an all-star. Scottie is going to be NBA Finals MVP one day. Scottie is going to be MVP of this league one.
Like he said.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, he's certainly a candidate.
Scottie is an all-star.
He's definitely an all-star. He's a two-time all-star now.
Scottie is going to be NBA Finals MVP one day. Scottie is going to be MVP of this league one day.
And then we go off the rails, but let's continue.
And I'm calling that now. You can write down the date when I said that. Okay, so Scottie is not even close where he's going to be when he's 27 and 28. There is so much that he's improving week by week, and the more he's improving, he's making my job easier, and I'm really, really proud of the way he works, and he really thinks how to help the team and how to win the basketball games. That's the only thing that he has on his mind, so really proud of him.
Crazy.
So, we'll get into what Scottie had to say after that, but man, I well documented. I haven't been the biggest fan of Darko Rajaković as a head coach of the Raptors. He's doing a tremendous job this season. His job is absolutely safe with the front office, and it's more importantly safe with me. But done a fantastic job this season. But again, I haven't been the biggest complimenter of Darko. Where I always have had compliments for him was the way the team has bought into what he's doing. The team has bought into him and his process and the relationships that they build. You see the relationships with even previous players from different teams, how strong those connections are. And I love this. I absolutely love how much he is willing to, give so much praise to his guys and try to reward his guys and try to give them more positive public perception in things like this. E. Cole does put it well in the chat. I need someone to believe in me like Darko believes in Scottie, because he's believed for a while. And Scottie, with the way he's playing, is making more and more people believers with the way he's playing this season. Let's listen into what Scottie Barnes had to say when he heard what Darko said about him.
The guy, but I love him to death. That's my guy.
Why do you love him to death? What about him?
I say, why do you love him to death?
He supports us. He got our back no matter what. But it's beyond that. He texts, calls. He really cares. He's super genuine. I think that's what makes the most out of it. Just a super genuine guy. Always.
So again, you hear this from a lot of players. You've heard this from Scottie before. The relationship building there. And Scottie actually brought up a good point there about he's always defending his guys. Like in games where they're not getting called or free throws. Like there was a game last season against the Lakers, I think it was, where Darko just absolutely blew up about the refs and was praising Scottie Barnes, saying he should be getting more calls, he's getting disrespected and whatnot. Like, the players know Darko always has their back, and Darko is always going to provide them the praise when it is necessary to do so. And again, you have to give a lot of credit to Darko for building all of these relationships. But has he gone too far, potentially, with this press conference in question with Scottie Barnes? He's called him a Defensive Player of the Year, called him an All-Star, called him a Finals MVP, and an MVP of this league. You can write down the day. I forget exactly what day it was. But early February 2026, he said all of this about Scottie Barnes. Are we now taking it a step too far? Well, for starters, like I said, Scottie Barnes is a two-time All-Star at just 24 years old. That is fantastic to see. As for Defensive Player of the Year, he's in the mix. Like, he is in the mix. We could look at the odds here. I'll just pull up FanDuel because it's a clean interface for you guys to see. Scottie Barnes currently 4th on FanDuel for Defensive Player of the Year. You'll see him 4th in a lot of places. He's behind Victor Wembanyama, the clear favorite, Chet Holmgren, Rudy Gobert, and then there's Scottie Barnes there. Like, he is in an elite class of defensive players here. Wemby was if Wemby plays enough games, he's going to get it. It was always a case of if Wemby plays enough games, he's going to get it. If he doesn't play enough games, it very much seems like it's going to go to Chet Holmgren, and I think rightfully so. If it doesn't go to one of those two, let's say there's an injury somewhere, Scottie Barnes is firmly in the mix. But at the very least, he is in these discussions. And he's doing it, and he's in these discussions while playing for a team that really shouldn't be that high defensively in the NBA. He is willing the team to have it because he's been that good defensively. He has played like a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So I think that we are on base with that one. As for the Finals MVP and MVP stuff, look, he's 24. Like, we're not in Scottie Barnes' prime yet. He's already this good. He can get better. But when we're talking about MVP, that is really a different class of a player. You know, we've got some absolutely elite players in this league. You've got Jokic, you've got Shea, you've got Luka Doncic, who's never won one. You've got guys like Anthony Edwards continuing to get better as well. Like, we're talking about a completely different class of players. But even though it's a completely different class, how far away is Scottie really? Because, you know, MVPs, they operate in the All-NBA first team category. But, like, the way Barnes has played this season, you know, offensive side of the ball, we talked about how good he's been defensively, but the offensive side of the ball as well. Like, he's averaging 19.4 points. He's above 50% from the field. He's above 30% from three. 8.4 rebounds, 5.6 assists. Last time I checked, he was leading the league in stocks. He may not be leading anymore, but he's still, like, at the very least right up there in steals plus blocks. True shooting percentage of 58%. He is doing everything to such a high level. You could absolutely make a case that he's going to be in an All-NBA team this season, especially if the Raptors can keep up this record. And if so, like, again, how far are we away from getting into that tier? You know, it's as much as he's, like, played like an All-NBA player, that is still quite a significant leap to get up to those MVP levels. So what would that leap have to look like? I mean, defensively, Christ, like, how much better can we get? This is so amazing from him. I don't know how much better we can get there. From an offensive standpoint, I think the leaps come from a little bit of self-creation on offense. I think it comes from a little bit more efficiency from three, as much as we're happy with 30% being above there. But, like if we get to, like, a 30, like, he's done it before. If we get to 34% from three, 35% plus, if he maybe refines the mid-range game a little bit, gets that better, starts pushing his numbers up, 21, 22 points per game, playing like Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's really hard. Like, Luka Doncic is such a good player, and he's never won MVP. It's hard to do, but I think it's well within Scottie Barnes' abilities to be within that tier someday, be within a conversation there one day. And who knows, if the Raptors can get better, they can put the right piece in place. If they have one of the top records in the East, maybe there's a conversation there one day. He also talks about Finals MVP, and look, I'm excited about this current group, but there's some tough contracts in play. There's a lot of work that needs to be done from a Raptors side of things to refine this team and get there. But if we're talking about Finals MVP, we're talking about the Raptors winning a championship. And a big debate has still been with some of the fan base has been surrounding, can Scottie Barnes be the first option, the number one player on a championship team? And for me, it's always been why not? Why can't he be? What is he missing? I don't think anything. I think he's got all the traits of being that best player. He's been the best player this season, and there's some glaring holes in the team, like lack of three-point shooting, like defensive help around him. It's not a team filled with great defenders. Jakob Poeltl's been injured all season. He hasn't played in most of the games. When he has played, he hasn't been healthy. What is he missing? What else does he need to do at 24 years old to convince you he can be the top piece on a championship team? I think he's absolutely, I think he's there now, but absolutely as he continues to hopefully get better, he can get there. So sure, he's got the capability of Finals MVP, but the Raptors got ways to go to get to that point still. So I've always maintained he's got the ability to do that. I think he's showing he's got the ability to maybe one day get into MVP conversation, but to go out and actually do it, that's a very grand proclamation by Darko Rajaković. But like I said earlier on in this piece, I love it. I love the support. I love the confidence he's putting in his players. I love the relationship he's building with the players. It's exactly what you want to see from your coach. And hey, man, I sure hope he's right. Right? I sure hope Darko Rajaković is right, because we are in for a wild few years, 5 to 10 years maybe, if the proclamation comes true for Darko Rajaković. You just got to support it. You got to support the confidence Darko's provided to these guys. And I'm very happy. Very, very happy about that. Notification came in on my phone, by the way. Jakob Poeltl. I just told you guys, he doesn't need to play. Doesn't need to play today. They don't have Duren. They don't have Isaiah Stewart. We don't need that big body today. But Raptors ready to go with it. Maybe, it's... Anyways, Jakob Poeltl's coming in to play limited minutes today. Maybe the Raptors feel like, okay, let's get Poeltl in for limited minutes. If there's a recovery time after getting back into action here, he's got a week to do it. He's got a week off. He can chill. I doubt we'll see Poeltl in any back-to-back games this season, but we've got him in for some limited minutes today. It should only be a positive for the Raptors. If he's that cooked out there like he looked against one of the games with the Celtics, maybe it's not a positive, but Poeltl's back already. It's February 11th. Poeltl is back to playing basketball in the NBA. When there were fears is his back cooked? Is he done for the season essentially? A lot of those worries are kind of going away. And Darko said it at the trade deadline. What's the one guy I want at the trade deadline? I want Jakob Poeltl. I want him back. And to be honest, again, another great... Darko's had some PR mishaps in the past, like when he said they weren't practicing at the start of the year when they were 1-4, and people were like, well, maybe you fucking should be practicing. But he's had some PR successes. And I think the Poeltl comments at the trade deadline were one of them where... Yeah, maybe the center we needed all along is just Jakob Poeltl being healthy. And I've maintained Poeltl's a great fit for this team. He just needs to be healthy. He's a tremendous player, just needs to be healthy. Kind of feels doubtful that he can just all of a sudden, be the Poeltl from last season or the season before after, such a strenuous injury there. But again, feels like it can only be a good thing for Poeltl to be here. I wonder if he'll start. Because no Colin Murray-Boyles. You could start Mamu and keep that rolling and just bring Poeltl limited off the bench. Or do you start him and just keep Mamu in that bench role? And we see probably a bunch of Trayce Jackson-Davis today. I don't know. But again, happy we got Poeltl back. I'm excited. Let's see what he looks like. Let's see how much the injury hampers him or doesn't hamper him today. I don't think Trayce Jackson-Davis start. I think they'll start if they're not going to start Pirtle, I think they will still go for Mamu because he's a superior player. The floor spacing is excellent, which will, that's what you want with some of the starting group. But I won't put it past Darko to start Trayce and keep Mamu in that bench role he's familiar with and keep that sort of rhythm going. I don't know. Tough to say. If I had to, let's say if I was like trying to find player props here. I feel like Mamu starting doesn't really change things because I think he's going to get a bunch of minutes whether he starts or not. Trayce Jackson-Davis, I think there'll be an upgrade there. I don't think he'll start. I don't think so. I can see him starting, but I'd be a little bit surprised if they did. But I don't know. How aggressive is this? How aggressive is this Pirtle injury? Like how aggressive is this limited minutes here? I think we could still see a good chunk of Trayce Jackson-Davis today, regardless. Tough to say though. You don't really know with Darko. My guess, Pirtle starts, keep Mamu in the rhythm, and Jackson-Davis still gets a healthy amount of minutes off the bench. That's my guess, but it's tough to say. It really is tough to say. Jeremy Sohan, yeah, that's a good place to end off here. Jeremy Sohan, if you guys have not seen, he is a free agent. He was bought out by the San Antonio Spurs. Pretty remarkable for a player who was former lottery pick, former all-rookie. And the Spurs have just continued to add on talent and add on picks, and there hasn't been a space for him. Again, you argue like, hey, you're talented enough, you break through and you force a team to play you, but there's clearly like some ability here. I don't know if he didn't get used that well by the Spurs. Like a lot of time he was playing as a point guard. He's not a point guard. How good is he? How talented is he for real? I think there's talent here. I think he's young. I think there's potential here. Hell yeah, I'd take a chance here. I don't know how many there'd be teams interested. Maybe he goes to a spot where he's just going to get guaranteed play time and try to earn himself a bigger contract in the summer. I don't think that's going to happen with the Raptors. But yeah, hell yeah, I'd take a chance here. There's positional versatility, something the Raptors value. I think a guy that fits within some of the offensive schematics that you're looking for, like with Darko Rajakovic's system. So I wouldn't mind taking a flyer. I mean, I won't be like, if we miss, I don't think we'll get him. If we miss out, I won't be like, oh my God, we should have got him. But yeah, I think that's a player worth taking a shot on. I would say that. Anyways, that'll just about do it. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Raptors Happy Hour live stream. If you did enjoy, please hit the like button. Actually, we're going to talk about the All-Star. Well, it's a bit late now. It's been an hour. I was going to talk about the All-Star game. I like that they have tried something new with Team USA versus Team World. I don't like how it's forcing them to take some players who maybe wouldn't have been in the All-Star game. But, it's not as if, guys like Avdija or Siakam, weren't deserving. They're maybe just more deserving players. But I'm like, really, NBA, this is not going to make me watch. I've over the past 2 years, I have tuned in on the Saturday. I've tried to get into the 3-point contest, the dunk contest, the skills gauntlet thing. It sucks, but I've tried to get into it. I can't. I can't. I'm gonna enjoy my weekend by not watching this. I won't be watching the Saturday. I won't be watching the game itself. I hope the Raptors players do well. I'm happy for CMB, for Barnes, for Ingram, for Darko. But no, I won't be there. Doesn't do it for me. I tried to support the product, but I'm not going to support it. I don't know what the future of the All-Star game is. Maybe one day, does it really make does it really make that much money for the NBA? Like, is this a true moneymaker? Because I guess it's sponsored out the ass. Like, there's so many like brand deals that get out of this. But like, is this genuinely garnering enough interest for it to be profitable for the NBA? It must be, but I don't know how. I don't know. Like, I guess people are watching this stuff. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. You guys let me know as well. All right. I'm going to be live in just over an hour. Raptors, Pistons, big test against the 1 seed in the NBA. Jakob Poeltl's back. I hope to see you there. I'm going to go have dinner, walk my dog, and I'll be back here for that doubleheader. Go to the channel to check it out. Hope to see you there. But if not, hey, live for most Raptors games. I'm live most Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 5 p.m. for streams like this. Subscribe if you're new. Like on your way out. See you soon.